Let's now take a look at the tools that we'll be using for this course. As mentioned before, we'll be using the XAMPP, the PHP development environment, and you can simply go to apachefriends.org and download the version that fits your machine. So we have the 8.01 PHP version for Windows, and if you have a Mac or Linux, then you can download that version. Okay, so it's a really simple process. Just download the installer, run the executable file, and follow the directions, and it should install XAMPP to your C drive. Okay, for our code editor, we'll be using Visual Studio Code, and you can simply go to code.visualstudio.com and download for Windows, or of course, if you also have a Mac or Linux, you can download that version. Okay, so I have already downloaded Visual Studio here, so let me open mine up. Okay, so I've made a few modifications to my installation. So you can see here I'm using a different theme than the default theme that it comes with. And I've also installed a few other helpful extensions. So the first extension that I think we should probably pay attention to for this course. So to install extensions, we come to the extensions tab here on the left, and we type the name of the extension that we want to install. So first, I'd recommend installing HTML, CSS support. Right, so that will give us a bit of IntelliSense and assistance when we're doing our HTML and CSS styling. The second would be, of course, PHP IntelliSense. Right here. And of course, I have this installed already on my machine. And I don't believe we had seen the one before. So let's go back. HTML and CSS support. Right. So this is what you would need to install. And if you are interested in the theme that I currently have, I am using the Night Owl theme. So for now, those extensions should pretty much get us on our way with our PHP development. So let's come back to our Explorer window. All right, so once you have gotten XAMPP set up, you should get a control panel. So you can simply run your development environment. So once installed, and you run it, you should see this control panel. So initially we'll only be needing the Apache module, but as we go further in the course, we'll be using the MySQL server as well. So to get started, let's start up our Apache. Let's click on Start. And we can see here once it has turned green, it is now available on port 80. So to access this, we simply open a new browser window, type localhost, and once you see this page, that means your installation was successful. So everything is running as it should. Okay, so if you want to view some information about your PHP installation, you can click on the PHP Info tab. And we can see here, I'm using PHP version 8, and it gives us some information about our system, and as well as some other information. All right, so one file I wanted us to take a quick look at is the PHP Initialization File. So we see here we can find it at C, XAMPP, PHP, and it should be inside that PHP directory. So let's take a look at that file. So let's go to our C drive. And in our PHP directory, we can simply type .ini. And here we can see our configuration file with the little icon beside it. So if we want to open this up and take a look, and this file really will allow you to make any custom changes that you may need to make to your PHP installation. I'd recommend not changing anything, but if you are experienced and you know what you're doing, then you can come in here and make certain modifications to your PHP environment, such as, system time, among a host of other things. Okay, so you can take a look, read what is in there, and pretty much get an understanding about what this file does, right? So it tells you here it is generally called the php.ini file and is responsible for configuring many of the aspects of PHP's behavior, right? So that is essentially what you need to know about the initialization file. And if you want to make any edits, of course, when you see the line starting with the semicolon, this means that this is a comment. And if you scroll down, you'll see some settings here that are, let's scroll down a little bit. All right, so these lines that have no semicolon preceding them actually are active. All right, so we won't mess with anything in here at the moment unless necessary. So let's close this out. So at least now we know where this file lives. Okay, so let's go back and let's go back again. All right, so one other thing to know about the XAMPP directory, all of our files will be served up from the htdocs directory. So let's open it and take a look inside. And we can see here that we have several folders. I've added this applied web folder, as that's the name of this course. We can also see the dashboard folder. So when we typed localhost into our URL, let's go back, let's close this. So once we typed localhost in our URL, we realized that it also loaded another directory called dashboard, right? So that is essentially what this directory is. It is loading the contents of this dashboard. So if we take a look inside, we can see here that it has an index file, and once PHP sees an index file inside the directory, it will always automatically load that file. I believe it's either index, or if it sees home .html, it will automatically load those files. So this is what is currently being loaded inside the dashboard directory. So the same way we want to access any other files inside this folder, if it's inside a directory, we would definitely need to type in the name of the directory in the URL. So if I wanted to create a new directory, I can simply create a new folder, and let's call this example site. Hit enter. And now we want to run our very first PHP script, and we're going to save that script inside the example site folder. Okay, so let's go back to our editor, and we can close this. So let's create a new file. And the first thing I'm going to do is save this file. So I can simply do Control S. And I want to save this file inside my new example site directory that I just created. And I'm going to name this file hello.php. So any file that is or contains PHP definitely needs to have the .php extension for it to run. If it doesn't, then the system will not recognize it as a PHP file. Okay, so let me click save. And now we can write our very first PHP script. Let us start by opening up our PHP tags. And of course, closing it off. And between them, we will do our echo statement. Right, so let us now save it and go and run this script in the browser. So first, let's change the name of the directory to our example site. And the name of our file is hello.php. And here we have our script running. So all we have to do is modify this script, or we could copy it. Right, so now we have multiple PHP statements. And with this one, I'm going to add a bit of HTML. So we could add a header tag. So let's make this a h3 tag. And let's save this and run it. And we can see here that it now has our h3 styling. So hello world, learning to code with PHP is easy and fun.